September 15th, 1987, 9:30 p.m., Vesuvio's restaurant, 142nd Street, the Bronx. Anthony, little Augie. Russo sits across from his childhood friend, Mickey Torrino, sharing linguine and reminiscing about growing up on Arthur Avenue. They're laughing about the time they stole apples from Gino's market when they were 12. Mickey has no idea that in exactly 17 minutes, the man he considers his brother will put 2 bullets in his head over $50,000. This wasn't just another mob execution. Mickey Torrino was little Augie's best friend for 32 years. They'd grown up 3 doors apart. They'd been each other's best men. Their kids called each other uncle. And Mickey had personally saved Augie's life twice, once from a rival crew, once from federal prison. But in the world of La Cosa Nostra, friendship is a luxury that expires the moment it threatens business. This is the story of how $50,000 destroyed a brotherhood that survived everything else. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the story, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments from where in the world you are watching from today. Anthony Russo was born February 8, 1943, in a cramped apartment above Torrino's bakery on Arthur Avenue. His father, Salvatore, worked construction 12 hours a day. His mother, Rosa, cleaned houses for rich families in Westchester. They had 4 kids and never enough money. But the Bronx's Little Italy wasn't just about poverty. It was about survival, family, and respect. 3 doors down lived the Torrinos. Giuseppe Torrino ran the neighborhood bakery. His father had opened in 1923. His son Michael was 2 months younger than Anthony, built like a fireplug, with thick black hair and fists that settled arguments. By age 10, Anthony and Mickey were inseparable. They delivered bread together, got into fights together, and learned the neighborhood rules together. The first rule was simple: never talk to cops. The second rule was simpler: respect the wise guys or disappear. Arthur Avenue in the 1952nd was controlled by the Lucchese family. Capos, like Tommy Lucchese and Johnny Dio, held court at local social clubs. Kids like Anthony and Mickey watched from a distance, fascinated by the power, the respect, the fear in people's eyes. At 13, both boys joined a street gang called the Arthur Avenue Boys. They ran numbers, moved stolen goods, and collected debts for local bookmakers. Anthony was a talker, charming, quick-witted, always able to talk his way out of trouble. Mickey was the muscle, quiet, loyal, and absolutely fearless in a fight. Together, they were unstoppable. Their first real score happened in 1960. A truck carrying cigarettes broke down on Fordham Road. While the driver went for help, Anthony and Mickey backed up Mickey's father's delivery truck and loaded 200 cartons of Marlboros. They sold them to local shops for $3,000, more money than either family made in 6 months. The neighborhood took notice. By 1962, both young men had caught the attention of Vincent "Vinny" Diamonds DeMarco, a Lucchese capo who ran operations in the Bronx. DeMarco needed reliable soldiers who understood the neighborhood and could handle themselves. He invited Anthony and Mickey to a sit-down at Rao's restaurant in East Harlem. "You boys got potential," DeMarco told them over plates of veal marsala. "But potential don't mean shit unless you prove yourselves. There's a guy, Tommy Castellano, owes the family 12 grand. He's been ducking payments for 8 months. Go collect." Castellano ran a small trucking company in Hunts Point. When Anthony and Mickey found him, he claimed he was broke. Mickey grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against a wall. Anthony pulled out a baseball bat and started destroying office furniture. Within 10 minutes, Castellano had found $8,000 in cash and promised the remaining $4,000 by Friday. He paid. DeMarco was impressed. He officially brought both young men into the Lucchese family as associates in 1963. Anthony was 20. Mickey was 19. They were made men by 1968. taking the blood oath together in the basement of a Bronx social club. Anthony kissed Mickey on both cheeks after the ceremony. "Brothers for life," he whispered. Mickey nodded. "Till death." But here's what you need to understand about Anthony Russo. He was ambitious in ways that Mickey couldn't comprehend. Mickey was content being a soldier, collecting debts, running book operations, earning steady money. Anthony wanted more. He wanted respect, he wanted power, and he was willing to kill for it. Anthony's first murder happened in 1970. A rival associate named Danny Torrino, no relation to Mickey, had been skimming money from a Lucchese gambling operation. The family wanted him dead. Anthony volunteered. He lured Danny to a meeting in a Bronx warehouse, supposedly about a jewelry score. When Danny arrived, Anthony shot him 3 times in the chest. Mickey helped dispose of the body. They burned it in a furnace and scattered the ashes in the Bronx River. The murder established Anthony's reputation as someone willing to do the family's dirty work. Over the next 10 years, he was credited with at least 8 more killings, though he always used Mickey as his partner. Mickey never pulled the trigger, but he always helped with planning, logistics, and cleanup. They were a team. By 1980, Anthony had been promoted to capo, running his own crew in the Bronx. He controlled construction kickbacks, labor union infiltration, and a massive bookmaking operation that grossed $2 million a year. His cut was 20%. He was earning nearly $500,000 annually. Mickey, now his underboss, was earning about half that amount. Both men had moved their families to nice houses in Westchester County. Their wives were friends. Their children played together. But success bred new problems. Anthony's crew included his younger brother Sal, his cousin Tommy Russo, and 3 other made men: Fat Bobby Santangelo, Joey the Nose DeMarco, and Patsy Torrino, Mickey's cousin. Managing personalities, territories, and tribute payments became increasingly complex, and Anthony's gambling addiction was getting worse. Here's where everything starts to fracture. Anthony had a weakness for high-stakes poker games, not neighborhood games, but serious action with Wall Street types and mob bosses from other families. He was good, but not good enough. By 1985, he owed serious money to serious people. Mickey didn't know the extent of the problem, but he noticed changes. Anthony was drinking more, sleeping less, and making increasingly erratic decisions. In March 1987, the Lucchese family gave Anthony's crew a major contract. They were hired to provide labor peace for a construction project at Yankee Stadium. Essentially, prevent union strikes in exchange for $2 million spread over 18 months. Anthony's crew would handle security. Mickey would manage day-to-day operations, and everyone would get rich. The first payment was $500,000. Delivered in cash to Anthony's social club on April 15, 1987. Anthony was supposed to distribute shares immediately, $50,000 to Mickey, $30,000 each to the other crew members, $40,000 to the Lucchese family as tribute, and the rest to cover operational expenses. Instead, Anthony took $300,000 to Atlantic City and lost it in a single weekend playing poker. When Mickey asked about his share, Anthony claimed the money was tied up in investments. Mickey accepted this explanation because he trusted Anthony completely. But Fat Bobby Santangelo started asking questions. He needed his $30,000 to cover a debt to a loan shark. When Anthony kept stalling, Bobby threatened to go to the Lucchese bosses directly. That's when Anthony made his fatal decision. Rather than admit his gambling losses, he decided to eliminate the witnesses. Bobby Santangelo disappeared on August 12, 1987. His body was never found. Joey DeMarco got nervous and started talking about leaving the crew. He disappeared on August 28th. Again, no body. Mickey began to suspect something was wrong, but he couldn't believe Anthony would kill their own crew members. These were men they'd worked with for years. men whose families they knew. But when Mickey started asking direct questions, Anthony's answers became vague and hostile. The confrontation happened on September 10th, 1987, at Anthony's social club. Mickey demanded to know what happened to Bobby and Joey. Anthony accused Mickey of questioning his authority. The argument escalated. Finally, Mickey said the words that signed his death warrant. "Augie, if you're stealing from the crew, just tell me. We're brothers. We can figure this out." If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. Anthony stared at his best friend for 10 seconds without speaking. Then he smiled and said, "Mickey, you worry too much. Come to dinner Friday. We'll talk about everything." Mickey agreed because he trusted Anthony completely. He thought they were going to work out the problems like they always had. He had no idea Anthony had already decided to kill him. September 15th, 1987, 9:30 p.m., Vesuvio's restaurant. Anthony chose this place carefully, quiet, dimly lit, with a back exit that led to an alley. He arrived first and selected a corner table. Mickey walked in at 9:32, wearing a blue windbreaker and jeans. He looked tired, worried, but still trusted the man who'd been his best friend for 32 years. They ordered dinner. They talked about their kids. Anthony asked about Mickey's wife, Maria, who was recovering from surgery. Mickey asked about Anthony's mother, who lived in a nursing home. For 45 minutes, it felt like old times. Two friends sharing a meal, solving the world's problems. At 10:17 p.m., Anthony excused himself to use the bathroom. Instead, he walked to his car and retrieved a .38 caliber revolver from the glove compartment. He returned to the table and sat down. Mickey was finishing his coffee, completely relaxed. "Mickey," Anthony said quietly, "I'm sorry." Mickey looked up, confused. "Sorry for what?" Anthony pulled out the gun and shot Mickey twice in the head at close range. The first bullet entered above Mickey's right ear. The second went through his forehead. Mickey died instantly, slumping forward onto the table. His coffee cup shattered on the floor. Anthony calmly walked out the back exit, leaving $50 on the table for dinner. Mickey's body wasn't discovered until the restaurant closed at 11:30 p.m. By then, Anthony was already in Queens, establishing an alibi at a family wedding. The investigation was immediate, but futile. No witnesses saw the shooter. No fingerprints on the gun, which Anthony had wiped clean and dropped in the Bronx River. Mickey's murder remained officially unsolved, though everyone in the neighborhood knew who was responsible. Anthony thought he'd solved his problems. With Mickey dead, there was no one left to question the missing money or the disappearances of Bobby and Joey. But he'd miscalculated. The Lucchese bosses weren't stupid. They started their own investigation. Within 6 weeks, they discovered Anthony's gambling debts, his theft of crew money, and his murder of 3 loyal soldiers. The family held a tribunal in October 1987. Anthony was stripped of his capo position and sentenced to death for violating omertà and killing made men without permission. On November 8, 1987, Anthony Russo was shot 6 times while leaving his mother's nursing home in the Bronx. The killers were never identified, but the message was clear. Steal from the family, kill your friends for money, and you die. Mickey Torrino was buried at Street Raymond Cemetery in the Bronx. Over 300 people attended his funeral, including his widow Maria and their 3 young children. Anthony's wife and children sat in the front row, crying for the man Anthony had murdered. The hypocrisy was stunning, but no one said anything. That's how these things work. This story reveals something essential about organized crime. Loyalty only exists when it's profitable. Friendship means nothing when money is involved. Anthony Russo killed his best friend. his brother in Everything But Blood, for $50,000. And the life that Mickey had saved twice ended up destroying him. The Arthur Avenue neighborhood never recovered. Fear replaced respect. Families moved away. The social clubs closed. The next generation wanted nothing to do with the life that had consumed their fathers. Today, Arthur Avenue is a tourist destination known for authentic Italian food and nostalgic charm. Tourists take photos outside the old bakeries and restaurants, unaware that some of New York's most brutal murders happened on these same streets. Mickey Torrino's family still lives in Westchester. His children became teachers, nurses, and accountants. They kept their father's name, but abandoned his world. Maria never remarried. She visits his grave every Sunday and still wonders if things could have been different. The lesson is simple. In the mob, your best friend is always one bad decision away from becoming your killer. And $50,000 is apparently the exact price of a 32-year friendship.